All right, we have the Lowrance Live 12 on the bench today. Issue is backlight's not working. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take out all the T8 screws here. We're going to take out all the plastic nuts, take the top off, and see what's going on. Okay, so we got the back off. The HDS Lives, at least the Live 12, I've worked on a few of these. Significantly harder to work on. Not the board. The board's easily accessible, obviously. The display and the digitizer, and therefore also the backlight, because that's embedded between this metal plate here and the digitizer glass and the display, LCD display. There's really no. I mean, there must be a way to easily remove the display from these units, but I haven't found it yet. I can get it out. I have repaired these. I do backlight jobs on these, but it's not as easy as like the Elites and down from there. It's doable, but if anybody's going to try this on their own, I would almost say don't, because it's all injection molded. The display is sealed real tight, and the problem is there's little room for error here. If you start, prying along here, you're going to damage. You're going to break the digitizer glass. You're going to break the glass and probably the digitizer and possibly damage the display. In my opinion, it's not worth the risk. Not to make this an advertisement, but if you have issues, I would recommend sending it in. This particular unit, unless you're doing board work, that's fine. But if you're doing any sort of digitizer touch work, I recommend sending it in. If not to us, to somebody. Hopefully us. So yeah, here we are. We have a backlight not working. So the first thing I'm going to do when I open this guy up is I'm going to look at the backlight connector, right? So this is the backlight connector right here. And from what I've seen on the lives, again, like most other things that break on not only these units, but all units, is maybe a weak design. In this case, it's the backlight connector. I can tell right now. The backlight connector broke off the board. So what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to, we might have to repair traces. We'll see once we get under the microscope. We're going to have to resolder this connector onto the board. We're going to go ahead and go through all the functions of this unit, make sure everything works afterwards. But that's something to look out for rather. I have noticed that on some 12 lives, this connector is epoxied to the board. I mean, what does that tell you? That tells you that Lowrance knew there was a problem. A problem specifically with that connector, and they epoxied it as sort of a cheap, easy, quick fix. Unfortunately, even with it epoxied, I've seen them come off the board. I don't know how. I mean, they must be taking a hit or something, but I've seen them come off the board. This is not epoxied, so that makes me think that maybe Lowrance started doing that once they started getting a bunch of returns on these, maybe under warranty. Maybe somebody there realized that, wow, this is happening a lot, so maybe they passed the information on to their manufacturing team, wherever that is, and they started putting dabs of epoxy on that connector. So that being said, this seems like this is maybe an older version of the live, just based on that modification I've seen on some lives. It would make sense to me that they would add the epoxy rather than remove it. So why would this be a newer model and they don't add the epoxy now? So that's kind of weird. In any case, the epoxy definitely didn't resolve the issue even on the newer versions of the live, like I said, because I still see the issue. So anyway, enough talking. Let's get to work here. Let's get under the microscope so you guys can see. We don't even have to take the board out to do this. What I'm going to do, I am going to take it out. I'm just going to resolder this real quick. under the microscope. And then what I'm going to do is take out the motherboard here, do a nice full visual inspection, test everything, take voltage readings and everything, make sure we're 100% good to go. These are high-end units, so we want to make sure that when we resolve these or fix these units, they stay fixed. We don't want other issues to pop up. So let's get this backlight issue resolved first, then we'll sort of move on. This unit's so heavy, Alright, I'm gonna have to do it like this. It's not even staying up. So what I'm gonna have to do is sort of like, this is awkward to do, but it's probably the only way that you could see it really well. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, let's zoom in here. If I can find my mouse. There. Turn on my iron. Jeez, I need to make some kind of mount to hold these things up. This is crazy. We're just heating up some of that flux. This style of flux is white, sort of translucent until it heats up. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to push that connector down. There. Okay. Let's touch up that one pin. It's the third, all the way to the right, the third, the left, third pin to the left. Or the third pin in from the right, I should say. A little bit more flux. Jeez, if I can get this thing to stay, that'd be great. a little solder on our tip here. Okay, so where's the third? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I still want to touch that up a little more here. Looks good. Kind of an awkward way to solder this. I think that might be alright though. Let's give that a shot. Oh, sorry. There. That looks a little better, huh? Beautiful. There. That's what I was after. Where am I? Here. I just know how fragile this connector is on the board, so I want to make sure we have really good connections here. I'll clean some of the junk off here because I'm going to put a couple dabs of epoxy also. Again, like I mentioned, it's not a good fix since it doesn't seem to resolve the issues for the company, but I mean, at this point, you know, what else is there? I mean, of course, we could cut the connector directly off and solder those wires directly to the board, but I don't think that's necessary here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. I think that's about good. Okay, so we're going to test this real quick. We're going to use a brand new connector. Actually, this customer sent me this This power cable, OEM, brand new. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. It's awesome. Previously, we're using some homemade connectors we made, so we got an upgrade thanks to this customer. Now, hopefully, we can get this guy up and running for him. Let's see. Alright, I just want to be careful here. I don't want to put any stress on that connector, but I want you guys to see if we fix this backlight. So, again, there was nothing. In fact, let me turn off the light real quick. There was no backlight whatsoever. Completely black. Couldn't see anything. I mean, very faint. You could see the Lowrance logo and stuff. Very, very faint. Okay, ready? And let's hope. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Look at that. Sweet. It's very hard to see on camera because it's washed out, but it looks perfect. In fact, let me throw the light back on real quick. I think it'll be better with the light on. Yeah, gorgeous. Look at that thing. Beautiful. Does touch still work? Yes, it does. And there we go, guys. Fixed. HDS Live 12. Nice units. Gorgeous looking. Alright, perfect. So now that works, let's kill the power. It's nice having a proper power connector there, or power cable. Alright, let's see what we got. So what I want to do is, I won't zoom into it, but I'll just do that. Okay, I'm going to take some epoxy. Oh, if I have any left. Where the heck is the epoxy? There it is. Oh. Okay. This is just some regular 2-part. I think it's like quick dry. I don't know, 5-minute epoxy or something like that. I mean, like I said, the factory does this that I've noticed. So it must be a mod that they have more recently started to perform, probably based on their warranty work coming in, I bet, I'm assuming. So if they're doing it, we're going to do it. I mean, I can't really think of a... Like I said, it's not great, but I mean, what other options do we have? I mean, we could, to do a more permanent modification, I mean, we could remove some of this solder mask. Maybe use, I mean, I don't even know, a different connector or something. If we had a connector, well, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to do this, but I'm just thinking out loud here. Even maybe some sort of USB connector. Obviously, this isn't USB, but just using the connector, because a lot of USB connectors are metal. And if we scraped off some of the solder mask here and here, we could actually make a solid solder connection from the top of the connector. That would give it tons of strength. That would be a solid connection, but I'm not going to do that here. I don't think it's really necessary. And it's nice to keep, like when you can, it's nice to keep things stock. Unless, of course, like we've done in the past, where you have to build a brand new backlight or build a brand new backlight circuit. In that case, we have no options. It's either that or the thing hits the dump. So, I mean, in that case, you know, we can't keep stock. We don't get parts from Lowrance or anything like that. So we do what we can to get these things back in service for the customer. I'm trying to avoid going on the actual connector itself so that can be removed if it needs to be. And I'm also going to avoid... Now Lowrance puts their epoxy right on the connector contacts. I want to avoid doing that in case this ever needs to be resoldered or something in the future. Whoever's working on it, it's not extremely difficult to get at those pins. I would appreciate if somebody did that to me, for me. So I'm going to do that for whoever else in the future, distant future, may have to work on this. Which they shouldn't, because I'm pretty sure this epoxy, the way I did it's going to keep it held in place. Lowrance just does a little dab on the right, little dab on the left, and in the back side of the connector where the contacts are. And the epoxy they use isn't great. It's actually pops right off the board. It doesn't really adhere to the board very well, which probably is why the connector comes off, even with their epoxy on it. Okay, this one's done. This is good to go. We're wrapping up here. We're gonna put the case. Actually, we're gonna take the board back off once this dries. We're gonna disconnect the backlight cable. We're gonna disconnect all the cables, pop the board over, do a nice visual inspection, put the board back in. We are going to test all functions of this guy here, put the back on, and get it back to the customer. Again, if you have any fish finders or any electronic devices in general, go to www.rudolphrepairs.com. You can shoot us an email. That's rudolphrepairs@gmail.com. You can give us a call. That's 1-800-517-9101. Until next time, guys.